In the league of great Italian automobiles, few cars are as misunderstood as the Lamborghini Islero. Born in an era when Lamborghini was still finding its identity, this sophisticated grand tourer represented something unique, a supercar manufacturer's vision of understated excellence. Today, we delve deep into the story of this remarkable machine, from its conception in Sant'Agata Bolognese to its enduring legacy in the classic car world. The story begins in 1968 at the Geneva Auto Show, where Lamborghini unveiled two very different vehicles, the dramatic shark-like Espada and the understated Islero. Named after the legendary Miura bull that fatally wounded Spain's most celebrated matador, Manuel Rodriguez Manolete. On August 28, 1947, the Islero was designed to replace the successful 400 GT. It was only the fourth model from the young manufacturer, following the 350 GT, 400 GT, and the revolutionary Miura. The creation of the Islero came at a pivotal moment in Lamborghini's history. When Carrozzeria Touring, the coach builder responsible for the earlier 350 GT and 400 GT models, declared bankruptcy, Ferruccio Lamborghini needed to find a new partner to build his Grand Tourer. He turned to Carrozzeria Marazzi, a Milan-based firm founded by Carlo Marazzi, a former touring employee. The design work was carried out by Carlo's son, Mario Marazzi, though persistent rumors suggest that Ferruccio Lamborghini himself heavily influenced the design, dictating specific requirements to Marazzi. The Islero's mechanical specification was nothing short of extraordinary. At its heart lay a sophisticated 3.9-liter V12 engine, originally designed by the legendary Giotto Bizzarini and refined by Giampaolo Dallara. This masterpiece of engineering featured 4 overhead camshafts and 6 Weber 40 DCOE carburetors. In its initial form, the engine produced 325 horsepower, channeled through a 5-speed manual transmission equipped with synchromesh and a hydraulically operated dry clutch. The chassis was a testament to advanced engineering, utilizing a tubular steel frame with riveted aluminum body panels. The suspension system featured fully independent double wishbones and disc brakes based on the 400 GT design but with thicker anti-roll bars and a wider front track. These suspension modifications were primarily made to accommodate the newer, wider, and grippier Pirelli Cinturato 205 VR15 tires that were becoming available. Performance figures were impressive even by today's standards. The original Islero could accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.4 seconds and reach a top speed of 154 miles per hour. These numbers put it in direct competition with the finest Grand Tourers of its era, including offerings from Ferrari and Maserati. The interior of the Islero reflected its grand touring aspirations. The cabin featured a sophisticated dashboard with 3 main Jaeger instruments visible through a wood-rimmed 3-spoke steering wheel. A central oil pressure gauge flanked by a 190 miles per hour speedometer and a 10,000 revolutions per minute tachometer. The optional Borletti air conditioning system, though expensive at £250 in 1969, a significant sum at the time, made long-distance travel more comfortable. After producing 125 examples of the original Islero, Lamborghini introduced the improved Islero S in 1969. The changes were comprehensive and meaningful. The V12 engine was upgraded to produce 350 horsepower, achieved through the use of Miura P 400 S-type camshafts. The suspension was revised to more closely match the Espada's design, improving stability under both acceleration and braking. Visual changes to the S model were subtle but significant. 6 cooling vents appeared on both front fenders, an enlarged hood scoop improved cabin ventilation, the wheel arches were slightly flared, and round side marker lights replaced the original teardrop design. The interior received updates as well, with a revised dashboard layout featuring rocker switches instead of toggles, and a fixed section in the door windows. The Islero attracted an interesting mix of owners. Ferruccio Lamborghini himself chose an Islero as his personal transport, as did his brother Edmondo. Perhaps its most famous appearance came in 1970 when an Islero S starred alongside Roger Moore in the psychological thriller The Man Who Haunted Himself, a film that is widely considered to be one of Moore's finest performances. One of the most fascinating Islero stories involves chassis number 6435, a right-hand drive Islero S purchased new by Sir William "Bill" Garthwaite. Sir William was no ordinary customer. He was a distinguished World War II veteran who had earned 2 Distinguished Service Crosses while flying with the Royal Naval Voluntary Reserve, including participating in the first strike on the German battleship Bismarck. Despite being colorblind, he had managed to con his way into the RNVR and became a decorated pilot. Sir William's purchase of the Islero was equally remarkable. He bought the car directly from the factory in 1969, becoming Lamborghini's official agent in the Bahamas just to facilitate the purchase. The car cost him £7,000 on October 22, 1969. He registered it in Nassau but drove it home to Matfield House in Kent, beginning a remarkable ownership story that would span decades. Sir William established a tradition of driving the Islero to St. Agata each year for servicing, often accompanied by one of his children. The journey would typically include a stop at the Jockey Club in Paris, followed by a stay in Venice while the car was being serviced. Through these regular visits, he developed friendships with legendary Lamborghini test drivers Valentino Balboni and Bob Wallace, even specifying his preferred room in Modena hotels, on the quiet side by the chapel. The production numbers of the Islero were modest even by Lamborghini standards. Only 125 original Isleros were built, followed by 100 Islero S models. Of these, only 5 were right-hand drive, with just 2 destined for the United Kingdom. These numbers make the Islero one of the rarest production Lamborghinis ever created. While the Islero was never intended for racing, one notable attempt was made to compete at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In 1975, French enthusiasts Paul Rilly and Roger Leviev modified Islero chassis 6348 to compete in the GTX class. They equipped the car with upgraded brakes and suspension, modified intake and exhaust systems, and added racing necessities like a roll cage and 5-point harness. The car was also fitted with a 100-liter fuel tank and additional lighting for the racing number. Unfortunately, the car crashed during qualifying, recording a best lap time of 5 minutes 28 seconds. In an interesting twist, race officials granted the team a last-minute entry due to another team's withdrawal, but they had already left the circuit and didn't compete. The Islero's pricing was surprisingly competitive for a Lamborghini. At less than £8,000 in the UK market, it was the least expensive model in the range, undercutting both the Miura and Espada by more than £2,000. This pricing strategy was part of Lamborghini's attempt to attract a different type of buyer, the discerning enthusiast who valued substance over flash. The engineering excellence of the Islero was supported by an impressive team. Test driver Bob Wallace, who would later become legendary in Lamborghini's history, was deeply involved in the car's development. The wheels were specially made by Campagnolo in lightweight magnesium, sharing specifications with the Miura and Espada. The factory-fitted Pirelli Cinturato tires were among the most advanced of their time. Yet despite its many virtues, the Islero faced challenges. The body and interior suffered from numerous deficiencies in fit and finish, some of which were corrected in the later Islero S Lamborghini test driver Bob Wallace later explained in an interview that these quality issues were due to Carrozzeria Marazzi's lack of resources, noting that Marazzi-built cars were never constructed to the same quality standards as those built at Touring. By 1969, the Islero's production run came to an end, replaced by the Jarama. The new model was designed to meet American safety regulations, but many enthusiasts argue it never achieved the same level of aesthetic and dynamic harmony as the Islero. The Jarama represented a different direction for Lamborghini, one more focused on meeting international regulations than pursuing pure engineering excellence. In the modern era, the Islero has finally begun to receive the recognition it deserves. Its combination of sophisticated engineering, understated elegance, and genuine four-seat practicality sets it apart from its more dramatic contemporaries. The design, which might have seemed out of step in the late 1960s, has aged remarkably well. Its clean lines and perfect proportions exemplify the long hood, short-deck GT car ideal. The car's engineering sophistication is evident in every detail. The spacing of the all-hanging pedals is slide rule exact, and no engine has ever been placed so neatly and symmetrically in its bay. The defining styling feature is the pinched crests that run the lengths of the flanks, helping guide the driver and creating a distinctive profile that hints at the jet-age styling exercises of the previous decade. Today, surviving Isleros command significant respect and value in the collector car market. The Islero S, in particular, represents the pinnacle of Lamborghini's early GT car development, offering performance that could shame many contemporary sports cars while maintaining the comfort and practicality of a true grand tourer.